I'm continuing my talk about the Droid with Don Corbett.
Hey, Kate.
Hey.
Well, of course, we just, in our previous segment, we finished doing our price check, looking for a hard drive, because I actually got some questions at one of the Linux user group meetings, one of the local Dayton Linux SIGs.
Right.
And folks were wondering, how come if I load Ubuntu on my laptop and you load Ubuntu on your laptop, we may have performance differences of 30% or greater running the exact same machine with the exact same, what would appear to be the same box, the same model number.
Right.
But what you may not know is you may have upgraded your memory, you may have upgraded your CPU, you may have upgraded your disk. So as we looked in the last segment, we decided that going with the higher RPM speed drive, in other words, it spins faster.
Sure.
And as an example here, if we could take a look at this drive. Now here's this is a large drive, just so it's easier for the camera to see. But with the faceplate off, you can imagine that as this thing's spinning around, if it was spinning around at 5,000 RPM plus some, if the data that you need has already passed the head, you need to wait till the next time it gets around to pull it in.
Sure.
Now there's some other electronic and physical things that you can do about that to anticipate. But if I could spin that a third faster,
right,
then everything else being the same, it's going to make it a whole lot easier as the head moves back and forth and the drive's spinning around. Of course, the more cylinders that you have, the more layers going through the platters, cylinders, heads, tracks, sectors, all of these things make up what's called the disk geometry. And the better you can keep that geometry tightened together for the data that you're looking for, the faster performance you're going to get. Then the other thing is the controller card on the back. And again, we've got a large controller card here on this one. I'm not sure, yep, this one has no controller card on it. So the key thing to note here on the one with no controller card, let me pull this around, is that there are some connections here where I've got 24 connections that would go to this board on this machine. And then I've also got 3 connections here, which goes to the heads. So what I could do is if this board actually went bad, or if I was doing a forensics scan and somebody tried to damage the machine so I couldn't get evidence off of it, if they damage this board or the controller board itself burn up, I can buy another exact match of that, put that card back on this drive, it'll match up, and I should be able to bring it up.
Wow.
And hopefully get it to work. So the other thing for the drive manufacturers is, based on this physical hardware, we can make it either an IDE or a SATA drive, and all you have to do is change that magic little piece here in the back. So of course we're going to be doing it with ones that are this size. And this is, you look at the difference between what goes in your desktop versus what goes in your notebook, and considerable size difference. Well, that's good and bad, because the smaller the drive, the faster. If both of these are spinning at the same speed, I could actually get better performance out of the little one, because the outside doesn't have to move as far as the outside on the big guy. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But faster is always better.
Right.
Bigger is not always better, because the more space that you have that you're not using, you don't know where on this platter that data is going to end up. And if I'm seeking from one end to the other, and I'm physically moving this head back and forth a lot, and let me go back to this one for that. You can see in this illustration, but we've got a locking mechanism here, and with that locking mechanism out of the way, I can then move the head back and forth, but as this head moves back and forth, that's going to be the slowest part of the entire operation, is going to be moving that head back and forth. So the more you can keep things like on the inside or on the outside, and of course you say, well, I don't have any control of that, but in Linux you actually can do that when you're doing the tuning. So we'll talk more about how those can impact your performance, but faster is better, as you
Yep,
know, the
I
need for
know.
speed, right?
Thank you so much, Don.